The Super Mario Run payment method is good for the user, but not great for investors. Google's robot minivans are on the way. Mechanical Turkers work for pennies, and a coffee robot. All that and a whole lot more coming up on Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1664, recorded Monday, December 19th, 2016.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage process into the 21st century with a fast, easy, and completely online process. Check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/TNT. Welcome to Tech News Today. This is a show where we talk about everything you need to know about technology. And we are the jingle and the bells of Tech News.
You know it. It's totally jingle over here.
I got my Christmas sweater, my holiday
you're
sweater.
Way more festive than I am.
There it is, little R2-D2.
Yeah.
And I've worn it before, but you got to get them in while you still can.
Yeah, really. You've only got really a couple of days out of the month that you can get away with it. If you wear it twice in a week, then you'll be accused of being overly festive. Mm-hmm. You don't want that.
No, I do not. I do not want that. I am Megan Maroney.
Oh, right. That's right. I'm Jason Howell. We've got tech news to talk about today, starting now. Facebook Messenger is rolling out a new update that enables group video chat of up to 50 total users simultaneously, though not everyone is shown on screen at one single time. As you can imagine, 50 on the screen at once would be very challenging, although I'd love to see it. The update allows for up to 6 people to be shown at once in Brady Bunch fashion, and dominant speakers will then push their way into the grid as the chat continues. So I'm imagining it would recognize that this person's talking and kind of push it in into view. Also included are a number of Snapchat-esque masks for chatters to wear if reality is just too boring for you.
Reality is boring for me. I tried this out. It was really exciting. With a little group chat at work.
Was it exciting?
Well, what was exciting about it was Alex Gumpel didn't know it was video. And he isn't at work today, and he was not wearing pants.
Oh,
so that was exciting. So just be aware. I mean, I could only see his face, so it wasn't as exciting as it could be. But be aware that when you touch that video app in a group chat, you are suddenly inviting everyone to video. And if you have been invited to a group chat, be aware of that. Wear some pants.
Yeah, do everyone a favor and wear pants to video chat, even if you don't think no one's going to see.
Did you get it now? You couldn't get it earlier because you're on an Android phone.
No, that's not why. It's rolling out to all phones. It's just you just love to say that, Megan. You love to say that.
Because you're on an Android phone.
It really hurts. No, apparently it's a server-side push, and I don't see it yet, though apparently I will be able to. The feature that Android doesn't have out of the gate, I believe, are the live filters during so. So I'll still be able to do the video chat. I'll still be part of the fun party that's happening, which if you've seen their promotional video, wow, it looks like you can party with this feature. But I won't be able to put on a silly hat.
But you were able to put on a silly hat, take a picture of yourself and post it in the chat.
Yeah, I could do that with just the regular camera. It has the functionality for the regular camera, but it's not part of, I guess, the live chat aspect. Silly hat, I don't necessarily consider that silly. Do you?
I consider that
looks
awesome.
Normal.
I consider that really awesome.
That's like normal hat, not silly hat.
Your expression also awesome. So you might have heard that this is similar to an app called House Party. And my reporter, my teenage reporter who I gave birth to 13 years ago,
Yes.
She says that House Party is a thing among the teens. It's similar to this group chat. They're all doing it.
Yeah. Although House Party, former Meerkat team, to which I have to say, man, Facebook just keeps eating Meerkat's lunch. It's like Meerkat comes out with live video, Facebook comes out with live video. So Meerkat goes on its little secret brigade to create House Party, does it for the last year, comes out of the gate. Everybody's like, wow, this is really cool. Facebook comes in and stomps on them. So I guess we'll see. I mean, Facebook and Messenger just has such an insane number of users, into the billions, that it's hard to expect that when Facebook comes out with a product that you also have, it's not going to have some sort of dramatic effect on your business. So we'll see what that means. But maybe in certain age groups, it won't affect them that much, like your researcher, your family researcher. And also in a strange confluence of events, maybe it's not so strange, maybe it was timed, the Kick chat app also released its own group video calls functionality into the app that supports up to 6 people at once, so not 50. And if you watch their promotional video, it doesn't look like, at least they don't show it off as being a full screen, video sort of thing. It's almost as if they still emphasize the texting and messaging functionality, and your video ends up in a little circular avatar. So it's kind of like your avatar is your live stream, but you still are using it because you want to send animated GIFs and, text, even though you've got video, text at the same time. I don't know. I don't get what the kids are doing these days.
Very confusing. Well, you know what else the kids are doing today? Playing Super Mario Run. The Wall Street Journal says, however, that the game is not meeting investors' expectations, despite making between an estimated $4 million and $8.3 million worldwide in its first 24 hours. The stock has fallen 11%. That's Nintendo stock has fallen 11% since the app came out, due in part to bad reviews, but also to worry about the game's payment model. Some investors say the $10 upfront cost of the game limits its future potential to bring in more income for the company. Leo and I discussed this on iOS Today, and he says there are additional in-app purchases after the $10. You still have to pay more, but I guess that is what investors are saying. Well, with these games like Clash of Clans or Candy Crush, you constantly are getting money from people, just free, people who want to play more. You get more money in that. Even though this might be very friendly to the user to just pay $10 and not be bugged all the time, that investors are saying, well, that's not how you really bring in the money. So I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I know for myself personally, I would much rather just pay the upfront cost. I don't feel like $10 is too much if it's a great quality game. And from what I've played, I feel pretty satisfied with it. I feel like the value of mobile apps and games in general is so, it's just very devalued, right? People are used to getting free or low cost, and anytime that they see something that ventures outside of that, it's like their expectations are maybe set a little too high, or I'm not entirely sure. Like, most people probably just would feel weird paying $10 for a game no matter what, on a mobile device, because it's a mobile game and you don't do that. But I think that's kind of ridiculous. Having said that, games like Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, all those games that are free to play have created this world and this kind of gameplay mechanism that encourages people, that almost tickles that like gambling funny bone. And so people are happy to spend that money. So they end up paying far more than $10 just to, kind of keep up, and they don't feel bad about it. I don't understand that. That's not me. I don't feel good having to drop money all the time just to continue playing the game. But a heck of a lot of people apparently do, because
I don't think they feel good about it. They're just, it's sort of addiction,
Well, I mean, but it satisfies something because they keep doing it.
Yes.
And so, that's a great way for somebody who's creating games to make money. It just doesn't feel right to me.
No, it doesn't feel right to me either. I played a game over the weekend that we talked about on iOS Today, and I usually don't play those games.
Yeah.
But this one was just, you constantly had to, it's like, oh, you ran out of lives, you have to pay. I didn't pay, but I don't know what it's satisfying. I'm not a brain scientist.
Right.
But it's something like, it's that endorphin, and you keep wanting it. And I think people feel pretty bad afterwards spending that. I mean, you've read stories about people going into debt. So I think, $10, not that big of a deal. But I guess what the issue is that they were getting a lot of bad reviews. So if you go to, this game was the Super Mario Run. If you go to the iOS App Store and you see some bad reviews and you say, well, it's free to try, I'll just try it, then it might not be a big deal. But the investors, I think, are saying, look at all those bad reviews. Now no one's going to spend $10 on it. So I think that was maybe part of the issue.
And I mean, are some of those bad reviews, specifically because of the high upfront cost? And if so, well, that's ridiculous. But then at the same time, you're talking about shareholders, you're talking about people who at all costs want to increase their bottom line. And in that case, then yes, maybe the $10 upfront pricing model for a game like this is a detriment to the game itself, because there are other models in mobile that make insane amounts of money. And that's probably what you're seeing here is like, well, you haven't monetized your audience as much as these other games have. I think it's a better way to go from kind of like an ethical kind of like feeling good about what you just did standpoint. But I don't know, I guess for shareholders, they just want to make lots of money. And that other model works really well for that. Mm-hmm. So Airbnb is looking to invade your travel planning even further by someday offering air travel booking capabilities. Sources told Bloomberg that the company hopes to get its new project, internally named Flights, that's a good name, launched before an IPO takes place sometime in the next 18 months. I mean, this kind of ties in a little bit about what we've been hearing lately with Airbnb kind of expanding its functionality. They're realizing they want to keep making money. They kind of have to open up. And their overall goal is to just become a site that deals with all different aspects of travel. You know, they recently rolled out Airbnb trips last month, which were the kind of like the tours, the food, the reservations, concierge sort of functionality for people who are hosting people through Airbnb. This would be an extension of that, getting into kind of flight booking.
Yeah, flight booking and trips seem to be a good way to avoid the legal challenges that they've been getting for, basically operating a hotel, because that's what Airbnb has gotten to be more popular. They're running into a lot of regulations where, especially in San Francisco, they don't want, the hotel industry is a big lobbyist in San Francisco, and they're losing money from people who are using Airbnb. And there was also the issue that they ran into where a lot of the homeowners in Airbnb were discriminating against certain people, and this sort of seems to avoid that. It's a tried and true method of a business, flight booking.
Yeah, I mean, Priceline, Expedia, Kayak all really kind of dominate this whole flight booking on the internet sort of thing. CEO of Kayak, Steve Hafner, about this basically said a lot of sites like Airbnb, sites that deal with accommodations, have tried to go in the other direction and kind of open it up to flights. And he says it never really works out so well for them. So I think he's banking on the fact that Airbnb doesn't know what it's doing. I don't know. I think Airbnb probably has enough resources at this point to kind of figure it out. And they certainly have a little bit of momentum going into the switch. I think it actually makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you want to rent the space in my airplane, you're welcome to, and I'm not using it.
Wait a minute, that's not what this is all about.
No.
If you have an airplane with a bed inside it, that's not what this is about, Megan.
Okay.
I know that you have an airplane with beds, airplanes with beds, but no, that's not what this is.
I don't have an airplane.
Okay.
What was your 2016 personal challenge? Lose weight, make your own Jarvis to control your home like Tony Stark? That was Mark Zuckerberg's goal for 2016. And today, Fast Company checked in on the CEO of Facebook to see how it was going. After 150 hours of work this year, Zuckerberg does not think that his house will function as the next Iron Man movie set. But he has used Facebook's tools to control his lights, remotely open his gate with a Facebook Messenger bot, and wake up his 1-year-old daughter with Mandarin lessons. So the project is more of a personal experience of getting back to simple coding for Zuckerberg than it is a new IoT platform for everyone. And it will come as no surprise to anyone who's tried to set up their Internet of Things house platform that the most difficult thing he had was trying to get everything to work together. He had a Creston system, there's Nest, Sonos, and getting them all talking together was difficult even for Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, but in his case, it's not difficult because there's a platform that already exists and you're trying to set them up. It's difficult for him because he's actually working with all of the Facebook tools that developers use to create a platform that talks to all those languages. He does this every year. Every year he kind of challenges himself in numerous ways. This was one of 2 challenges from last year. It was setting up his home automation, and I think it was running 365 miles throughout the course of the year because setting up home automation is too sedentary. So I've got to give myself also a reason to get out and get moving and all that kind of stuff. I have a lot of respect for setting those kind of rules for yourself and then pulling it off. And another one was he spent a year learning Mandarin. So anyways, interesting that Zuckerberg of all people does this, and what you end up with based on what we saw and everything is very similar to what we already kind of have in other ways, via Google Assistant, Amazon Echo, Google Home, all that kind of stuff. They're all kind of on similar footing. The only difference here is that he kind of created it himself.
Right. He used Facebook tools. And that was what he said, too, that he wanted to get back to coding. I guess every Facebook engineer goes through a boot camp, no matter if they're hired as a vice president or just a beginning coder. They all go through this boot camp. And he'd never really been through the boot camp because he started Facebook. And so he did a modified version of that to learn and get back to coding, which was I think that was another one of his personal challenges at one point, was to code every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have a reason to kind of get back in there. And actually for the CEO of, a company like Facebook, that is arguably one of the most influential tech companies out there right now, huge, number of users and into the billions and everything like that, for him to put himself in this role and experience what the average developer that uses Facebook's tools and code and all that kind of stuff experiences, that's got to be invaluable. That's actually a really great thing for him to do, to really kind of stay connected to what his company is doing and not get lost in the weeds of running the business too much. I just don't know how you find time to do that. I feel like I run out of time, and I don't run Facebook. I don't have time to, code my entire home automation system from scratch.
Right. I know. And Facebook
crazy.
Is what wastes most of our time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we spend our time doing. Anyways, one thing I did find interesting is that he considers the phone to be the better hub than an appliance, than an actual like Google Home or Amazon Echo appliance. He says that's critical to what he was doing, because it brings with it certain kinds of context as far as where you are in the home and that sort of stuff. You can do that in other ways, but I did find it interesting that he said, he pointed out that some contexts are better suited for text than it is for voice, which I kind of feel I agree with that too. Like, there's so many things that we can do with our voice, and it's really neat to be able to do it. But sometimes it would be nice to be able to just punch it in. His example was, you have a party, and then you party, lots of people, whatever, and then somebody shows up at the gate. Not everybody in the party needs to know who's at the gate, and go through that whole kind of interaction. So being able to just pick up your phone and send the signal that way is a great way around that.
Right. No, he wouldn't want everyone at his party to know that if we came to the gate, he would turn us away.
Yeah. Although he might want everyone at the party to know, if we came to his gate, that we were there and the party was just getting started. Mm-hmm. It's true. A first look at our Waymo fully self-driving Chrysler Pacifica hybrid minivans. The Waymo, which is Alphabet's self-driving car division, showed off a new addition to its fleet, the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid minivan. That's what you're looking at right there. It's sporting Waymo's self-driving technology, including the all-important sensors, telematics, an onboard computer. 100 of these vehicles will hit the road starting in 2017 as Waymo continues to test its technology. So this is kind of like our first glimpse. We first heard of this particular vehicle, that it was possibly going to be coming out sometime at the beginning of 2017, like a week ago. And then, basically they released this on Medium to kind of show you your self-driving, minivan future.
Yeah, the minivans leave way more room for way more stuff in the
Waymo stuff, yo.
I'll probably get one more use out of the Waymo pun, and then I'll be done.
Okay.
So just wait.
Wait
around.
I'll put a little checkbox on the front page of our docs so that we know that we only have one more of those that we can use, and then no more.
I think Google's really trying to show that the self-driving car can be bigger, because all we've seen from them is the tiny little Herbie cars, really. Mm-hmm. So this is good. I mean, and it's a hybrid car, which we haven't really seen many, hybrid self-driving models yet. Mostly they've just been totally electric. And they're pretty nice looking. They're nicer than my minivan.
Yep. They are nicer than your minivan. I don't know what minivan you have. This is based on the 2017 production model. They made a bunch of changes to it specifically to accommodate the self-driving stuff. So it's not like they just got the thing, the vehicle off the line and threw the stuff on there. They actually really kind of got in there and integrated it into the hardware from the ground up. Took the last 6 months to do that. So Pretty impressive.
After the break, we explore the world of mechanical Turkers who often make less than minimum wage and sometimes work up to 24 hours a day. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, the sponsor of this episode. Getting a mortgage is frustrating. It's time-consuming. You want to celebrate a new house or celebrate refinancing your mortgage. You don't want to be wasting your time running all over town, looking for a notary public and digging through all the papers in your house, trying to find all the documents. You want it to be easy, and you want it to be online, because if you're listening to this, you probably spend most of your time online using technology, and you want to do that in your mortgage. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage approval process into the 21st century. It is fast, it's powerful, and it's completely online. Rocket Mortgage has taken all the complicated, time-consuming parts of applying for a mortgage out of the equation. With Rocket Mortgage, you can easily share your bank statements and your pay stubs at the touch of a button that helps you get approved in minutes for a custom mortgage solution that's been tailored to your unique financial situation. And you can do all of this on your phone or your tablet. It's a quick online process that you can manage from the convenience of your couch. So if you're looking to refinance your mortgage or buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/TNT. That's quickenloans.com/TNT, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, and MLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support. As we move into an information society, the future of work is uncertain. One dystopian vision of what work might look like exists right now, with the more than 500,000 click workers getting paid pennies as they log hours in Amazon's Mechanical Turk program. Hope Reese from Tech Republic just published an exclusive new investigative report on whether this kind of work is democratizing or disempowering. Welcome to the show, Hope.
Hi, thank you so much.
Can you give us an overview of how it works?
Yeah, I'd love to. So Amazon Mechanical Turk has been around since 2005. It is one of a handful of crowd work platforms. Other big ones include Crowdflower. And it allows anyone who wants to request a certain kind of work to be done, anyone from an academic researcher to somebody who wants to get a transcription job done, to a larger company that might want to have data labeled. They can outsource this work to, there have been over 500,000 Turkers across the globe over the last 10 years, and they can choose to take one of these small tasks, and then they get paid pennies per task to complete the work.
So what's a demographic? What are the demographics of Turkers?
They're predominantly in the U.S., which might be a surprise to many people. I think over 75% are in the U.S. The other big portion are in India. And then there are a lot in Canada as well. And then I can't remember the exact number. And then maybe 10% are distributed across the rest of the world.
And they're mostly female?
Mostly female, but it's not a big difference in the gender gap there. Yeah, actually in the U.S., I'm not quite sure, but there's a great Pew Research study that shows the breakdown and all that. But what is interesting, I think, is so many of them are in America too, because we think of sometimes this kind of work, these like kind of online sweatshops, is happening elsewhere, but a lot of them are happening right here.
So I know you talk to a lot of Turkers. Tell us a little bit about their job, not exactly what they do, but just just the nature of what it's like to have these piecemeal jobs.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when I first kind of started learning about Amazon Mechanical Turk as one of these quote unquote blue collar jobs of the digital age, I was wondering kind of what are people really doing on these platforms? And people use them for all different reasons. There's some people who do it for fun, some people who do it for extra money, some people who are really relying on it for full-time income. A lot of the people I talked to had relied on it for full-time income at one point. And they really spent a lot of their day kind of, hovering around the computer, waiting for these little dings that would alert them to when a task would come up. And really, whether or not they made money that day was dependent on whether they could quickly run and accept the task as soon as it was posted. When a task is posted, you get an opportunity to decide if you want to take it or not. Some of the tasks that I heard about, a lot of them are very monotonous and they involve labeling data. So looking at an image and saying, is there a cat or a dog in this picture? Some of them are research studies, and some of them are, really graphic as well. In March, I talked to two different women who had both seen a task that was asking to label, how many beheadings there were in a certain video. I also spoke to people who had to label, pornography scenes. And, you can choose to accept the task or not, but, these are the kinds of, it's such a wide spectrum of tasks, and it's kind of interesting to see, what they're actually being used for and who's doing the requesting, because a requester is actually anonymous. The Turker never gets to know who asked for that task to be done and why.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I had heard of Amazon Turk quite a few times, but your piece was fascinating. It was really eye-opening as far as kind of the economics behind it. The question that I had is, obviously the pay scale on this is incredibly low. Some of the numbers that you throw around, like I was astonished to see how you could spend all that time, especially all that time being distracted. Like I know when I worked in the restaurant industry and there was, it'd be like, you might work today, you might not. So just be on standby. Even though it was a day off, even though by the end of the day you felt like, okay, well, I didn't actually work today, your mind was occupied. So I can imagine it's kind of the same thing where your life is still occupied by waiting for that ding. So you consider all that stuff and you consider the pay scale here. Was this ever intended to be a full-time opportunity, or was that Amazon's idea behind this, or was it more to be kind of like fill in here and there? It almost seems like it's not like the intention was never for this to be someone's full-time job.
Right. Well, one extra thing to mention about the pay is that sometimes a Turker will complete a task and actually not get paid. The task might be rejected, and the requester doesn't even have to give an explanation. So I've been on a Turker forum on Facebook where people are saying, I was rejected. I don't know why the work was rejected. So that is an extra reason that it can be bad, a waste of time for the workers. The intention behind this, I really don't think anyone, I don't think Amazon created this to say, let's have a full-time workforce out there, doing this, but it does enable, bigger companies to get away with getting tasks done without having full-time workers, on staff to do them. And the requester gets to set the pay. So as long as there's somebody out there who will do it, then they can, say, here's my rate. It's 3 pennies to itemize this receipt, for example. That's the pay that I talked to somebody about, who did that, listing all the items on a receipt so they can sell it to a company so they can use it for marketing. There are all kinds of tasks on this, but I don't really think the intention was for it to be full-time work. But, there are a lot of people who are desperate or who do really need the money and might not fit into mainstream jobs and somehow have ended up on this digital platform.
Right.
So you say that more than half of these Turkers get paid less than minimum wage. How is that legal?
Well, actually, 52% make less than $5 an hour, according to the Pew Research. I don't really know the complete legal aspects, but this is contract work. I don't know how they can, I think the minimum wage just doesn't apply in this sense. And I don't know if, I know that, say, for academic research, Turkers are actually paid better because there are standards for how much you can pay, people who take part of your part in your studies. But in terms of an actual minimum wage, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how much academic research really gets done. I mean, years and years that would not otherwise get done without Amazon Turks. And so it's good to know that at least universities are paying, minimum wage at least. But what you're saying is a lot of this is used in just AI and machine learning. So like as we're using this and saying like, isn't it great that this computer can recognize a flower in my images, that humans are behind that, and it's not a human that is getting paid, not a human that's showing up at the Google campus every day and getting paid what we imagine someone, who works for Google would get paid.
Exactly. Yeah. To me, that's what makes this interesting. I mean, it's been around for over a decade and it's useful in so many ways. You can get a transcribing job done. You can get work on a study done. But we're coming into a moment now where big data and AI are, fueling everything. And I don't think people understand how the underpinnings of AI. So basically, machine learning, which is a subset of AI, relies on a lot of this data, like I was talking about tagging images. Is this a cat? Is this a dog? And it feeds it into a system that can teach itself to learn. This is how, image recognition, facial recognition, voice recognition, all these systems learn through machine learning. And humans are being relied on to categorize and label huge amounts of data. So we see the results of machine learning, but we don't see, the actual work that helps make it happen.
Do the Turkers feel good about the work that they're doing? Do they feel like they're being taken advantage of? I mean, if they don't, if they're happy to make what they're making, then maybe it's less of an issue. But how do they feel about what they do?
It's a really good question because for a lot of people, this is a wonderful thing. They do get to make money. They get to stay at home and make money. On the Facebook group that I'm a part of, there's a very kind of positive spirit there where people are congratulating each other on jobs, even if they hardly, are making minimum wage. They're still saying, way to go. And so, I can't speak for all the Turkers, of course, but the ones that I did speak to were very vocal about wanting more communication or recognition from Amazon about the work that they were doing. They were saying, they're there for a reason, they want to do it, but why can we not have, if something goes wrong, why can we not ever contact the requester? Why can we not get an issue resolved? Why can we not understand why a job was rejected? There's a certain designation of pay called a master's level, and none of the Turkers I talked to know how they could get designated at that level. And once they're at that level, they all of a sudden are able to do get better jobs, get higher paying jobs on Amazon Mechanical Turk. So there's just a lack of transparency. And that was a big thing. So a lot of these groups have kind of come around and organized, all kinds of different online communities to kind of support each other and assist each other with using the platform. How can you make more money? How can you get better jobs, et cetera? But there's just such a big disconnect between what they're doing and the company, the platform that's doing it. So they seem to all express, we just want to be able to talk to Amazon and, feel like we're heard, our voices were heard. There was a Dear Jeff Bezos campaign a couple of years ago that went kind of completely unanswered. And so they're unhappy mostly with that kind of communication.
Well, your piece in Tech Republic is a great read. Thank you so much for coming on to talk to us about it. Everyone should check it out. Hope Reese, where can people follow all of your work online?
Thank you. Also, I need to mention, this was not just my work. This was written in collaboration with Nick Heath, and he's in England. So he did a lot of the research for this. You can find my work at techrepublic.com. Twitter handle is Hope_Reese, and also Nick Heath is on there as well. So
thank you so much, Hope.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
All right, take care. Have a good night.
All right,
Hope.
thanks.
Bye. All right, feedback time. Sruli Baum writes about our discussion of Uber employees' access to passengers' locations, writing, just yesterday I ordered an Uber and the driver text messaged me to find our meeting spot. Was a little uncomfortable with that because the driver gets my phone number and I get the driver's phone number, unlike most other apps in any category where messaging is handled within the app itself. Which is an interesting point. Like, that is kind of how these work, right? Like, I don't really take many ride-sharing rides, any of the services, just in Vegas. Apparently, I only do ride-sharing in Vegas when we're there for Twit. But I don't know. What do you think? Should apps like these have maybe like a built-in messaging functionality to kind of prevent the kind of mandatory swapping of phone numbers?
Well, I mean, sure, that this would be the least of the problems, right? Like, I wouldn't necessarily care that the Uber driver had my phone number. I'm more concerned about what we heard last week about them, being able to follow my location even after I'm using the app. So I'm much more concerned with that. But yeah, it is a little weird that they use. I thought that the first time I used an Uber and they were texting me, but I don't know. I think at this point, my phone number isn't that private. I've shown it a few times on this network by accident. So what can people really do with a phone number at this point?
Call you.
Then you block them.
Yeah. Message you.
Then you block them.
Call you.
Right. TNT's fan of the day is My Opinion on Tech. That's their Twitter handle, who says, this is how I'll be listening to iOS Today and Tech News Today, with a picture of his Apple AirPods that he got. One of the first, apparently. So let us know how it sounded, My Opinion on Tech. Let us know how we sounded and if one of us fell out of one of your ears.
Yeah. Don't lose one. That's going to cost you $49 to replace it.
Right. And if you lose one, then do you just hear me and not Jason? That's what I would like to know. That'd be awesome.
I hope that Brian is not mixing our audio so that we are split. I think we're some down the middle. I think you're going to be all right.
Show us how you watch or listen to TNT, record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it to Instagram, Google+, Twitter, Facebook. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, or in this case, How I Listen to TNT, and we'll find it.
All right, when you think of an Alexa-enabled coffee pot robot thing, you probably think of something, I don't know, maybe just a little bit more refined than what we're about to show you, that was created by 2 Ohio State students, although I give them an A for effort. Yes, you can finally ask your coffee pot what the weather's going to be like today, and the lid to the coffee pot will actually flap. You can go ahead and turn up the audio if we can hear it in the background. Oh. Will it talk? Will it talk?
2 degrees with cloudy skies.
Okay,
You can expect more of the same.
all right. Okay.
High of 37 degrees and a low
So it
of
flaps and everything, but then when it's time to make coffee, it's a manual switch, as you can see. The googly-eyed coffee pot has one robotic arm that slaps the filter down with authority, and another robotic arm that sweeps up what should have been a full scoop of coffee and drops it into the filter. Of course, it was like a light sprinkle at the end of the day. It's going to be the weakest pot of coffee that you've ever had, but Alexa-enabled coffee pot, hacked together. What do you think?
I love it. This coffee pot clearly knows whether you need 1 or 2 cups of coffee based on what you've been asking Alexa, or based on the news. I don't know.
I love that it's like a quarter teaspoon maybe of coffee grounds. I feel like they should have filled up that bowl of coffee grounds just a little bit more than they did. Or back to the drawing board. Coffee robots aren't easy.
No, they're not.
Yeah. There you go.
True words were
but then,
never
you know
spoken.
what? I couldn't make one. That's way better than I could ever do. So, A for effort. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW, and find us on Twitter. We are at Tech News Today TV.
Have you subscribed to our show yet? Go to twit.tv/TNT. Find all the ways to subscribe and tell your friends, especially around the holidays when you're gathered around the tree or the fire. Just take someone's phone and subscribe to our show. They will thank you for it. And if you want to tweet at me to say how creepy that is, I'm at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Brian. Welcome back, Brian, by the way. Thanks to Burke for helping out here in the studio. Thanks to Kevin for editing and making us look good. And thanks to you for always talking tech with us every single day. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.